Do you pay for programming for your gym? 5 years ago, this might have seemed like kind of an insane question because nobody paid for external programming in their gym. When one of the first systems to sell programming to microgyms, boxprogramming.com, emerged, they faced feedback like, that's my job. I should be the one to program for my gym. If I'm not doing the programming, then what exactly am I selling? But now there are dozens, if not hundreds, of different options for micro gyms to choose when they're picking their programming. But the reality is that despite the celebrity endorsements from high level athletes, despite the different varieties and different names and flashy programs and different membership setups and class plans and all the other bonus stuff, at the core, most programming options follow the same constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity work. Some focus more on the intensity, they can kill you worse than the others. Some focus more on the highly varied part, but all of them seem to follow about the same format. Enter an idea from Brooks DiFiore. A few years ago, Brooks and I were talking just before the pandemic, and he had abnormally high adherence and retention rates in his gym. And I said, what is doing it? And he said, it's our programming. And what Brooks revealed is that he programmed by avatar, meaning that he had 3 separate workout tracks that were tailored a little bit and communicated by the goal of the person in his group class, so that somebody who is seeking to lose weight would not only get great weight loss results, but they would also understand how this program worked for them. And that translation is key. As we found when we were doing adherence and retention studies during COVID lockdowns, the gyms that communicated, here's why you should want to do this today, did the best at adherence and retention. Breaking down your programming by avatars really helps with that communication. So Brooks is here today to talk about what is programming by avatars, how do you communicate the difference to the different avatars, and how does that help your gym? Brooks, welcome back to Two Brain Radio, man.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man? What's going on?
Doing amazing. So pumped to have you here. Your energy is contagious, and I think everybody's going to want to run a mile as soon as they hear this stuff.
I appreciate that.
Why don't we start with avatars? What are avatars?
Avatars are how you should look at almost every client that comes through your doors, right? So I think we look at avatars a lot of times from a business perspective, like who is the person that I want to attract to my business, right? When we actually get that right person in our business, then we start talking about, okay, well, who are the people that I'm helping, right? We can generally break it down to like 3 categories: clients who want to lose weight, clients who just want to get fitter, and clients who want to become stronger or build muscle.
That's true. And I think like most people who run a gym would recognize that 90% of their clients probably fall into one of those 3 buckets. So how do you differentiate programming for those avatars? And maybe we'll talk about like how you communicate that programming later. How does the programming look different?
I don't think that the programming really looks that much different from what you would see in, the constantly varied high intensity functional movement type of programming, right? It's just really how we can relate that programming to each athlete. So if we like think of, programming, and we like even just think back to, CrossFit.com, right? When they were publishing workouts, there was no real, like you would go on and there would be a workout there. I don't remember. I don't believe there was like a warm up there. I don't believe there was a cool down. I don't believe they told you what the stimulus was, right? It was just kind of the workout, and you go ahead and do it. And it's going to get you fitter, right? Then as gyms became more professional, we went into the space of, okay, well now we should really have warm ups and cool downs and things like that, right? Then we took it even a step further and went into, okay, well, how about just fully blown session plans with timelines and coaches notes and scaling variations and everything that you need, and a little bit of a stimulus, right? What's the goal of the workout? Generally, we can relate it to, you should finish in this amount of time, or you should complete this amount of reps. When I look at avatar briefs and, what we do with programming, it's all of that. It's just now adding on this layer of, okay, how do you communicate why this workout is important to your client? So if we look at it from a perspective of like hard skills versus soft skills, I think if you look at most programming out there, It's very much on the hard coaching skills side where it's like, this is how you should coach a class, this is how you should get through. These are the technique progressions that we're using. And then there's a little bit of talk to your athletes about this and, what they should aim for. We just take it a step further and say like, this is how you can really relate this workout to each one of your clients.
So why is that so important? If you've got a group of 12 people and, let's say that they're divided evenly into 3 different avatars, why should your messaging be different for somebody who's trying to lose weight instead of somebody who's just trying to gain strength or generally get fit?
Because I think we have an obligation to our clients to give them the best service possible. Number one, and I think we're doing them a disservice if we just say like, hey, everybody who comes in, your goal is to get 10 rounds in this workout, right? And that might not be the case. For somebody who wants to lose weight, I want them to get as much work done as possible, right? So they get the biggest calorie burn possible. So I might say to somebody, hey, there's a barbell in here. Let's just go a little bit lighter so you can continue to move at a consistent pace, maybe go unbroken, right? And get through as much work in this workout as possible. Someone who's stronger, if it's a light barbell and like their goal is to gain strength, it could just be as simple as saying like, hey, obviously we want you to have a base of conditioning. That's important, right? But we can bias this workout a little bit more towards you just by increasing what is the RX weight here, right? Allowing you to take, to go a little bit heavier. Maybe you don't go as hard on the row or the run as the weight loss athlete does, right? But that'll fit your intentions of this workout a little bit better.
Can you give us an example of that? So let's say that you're running a class with, maybe you can give us a sample workout and just kind of walk us through how you would present it to each avatar differently.
Yeah. So let's say we have a workout that's 4 time and it's 25, 20, 15, 10 of a cow bike and 12, 9, 6, 3 of a hang power snatch. When we're standing in front of a whiteboard in a class, we're going to brief the workout basically to our general fitness clients, right? Because we can assume that for every, let's just say we have 10 people in class, right? 5 are probably going to be more interested in, just general fitness. And you might have 2.5 that are interested in weight loss, 2.5 are interested in gaining strength, right? So we can brief for the majority of the class at the whiteboard, and then we can use these avatar briefs for individual conversations with your clients. So think of it like a touch point, right? Just like you would in like giving everybody a cue in class. Like you want to make sure that you go up to them and understand like, hey, this is why you should be doing the workout. This is important for you. And this is how you can mold it to fit your goals a little bit more.
So let's talk through delivery. So one thing I don't think that you'd want to say is like, hey, raise your hand if you're too fat.
Yeah.
And you're trying to lose weight. How do you deliver that?
I think so. There definitely needs to be some tact to it, right? Where it's like, you're not going to say like, hey, Mary, we know you want to lose 30 pounds. So this is how you're going to go and execute this workout, right? I mean, that would be absolutely horrifying for that client. Right. Which is why we use that general fitness brief for the actual, front facing when we're talking to everybody. And then we use those individual conversations for those clients. And I think it comes down to, being a really good coach and knowing your clients and who they are and what their goals are. Right.
So, Brooks, I was driving past Dairy Queen last night, saw your car there. I really think we should be thinking hard about our avatar choice this morning. Not like that.
Well, not like that. Well, it depends. If someone's trying to get a little bit stronger, I might be like, I hope you got 2 ice cream cones, right? You need those extra calories. So it's all case dependent.
So the key is like really knowing each individual client though. So how do you as the coach kind of keep track of what people's goals are who are in your class? Like, let's say that you're a part-time coach, you're coaching at 6 and 7 this morning. You have a kind of an idea of who's going to be there, but how do you know what their goals are?
So I think the first thing that comes down to is coaches really caring about the clients and generally wanting to help. Right. But there has to be something there, like a communication mechanism. So that 6 a.m. coach understands who's coming into their class and what that person is trying to achieve. So at my gym, like what we do is anytime someone gets done with on-ramp, we essentially write a synopsis for that person and put it into our public Slack or into our coaches Slack channel, right? Saying, hey, this is Chris. right? Chris is a super fit guy. He just wants to get a little bit stronger,
Oh, it's
right?
obviously not me that we're talking about here. Okay, good. Yeah.
He moves relatively well, right? Has some experience, but might have has a maybe a bad shoulder, bum knee, whatever it might be. Chris will be at the 6 a.m. class a lot of times, and oh, by the way, he's going to do a powerlifting meet. Like his goal is to do a powerlifting meet in 6 months, right? Well, you have a ton of information there that will really allow you to make sure that you're having a personalized conversation with your client every time they come into class, right? I think the benefit of, routine that we get like ourselves into and our clients is into is like the majority of the time you're dealing with as a coach, probably the same 12 to 20 people, depending on the class that you coach, right? So if you're the 6 a.m. coach Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can generally assume that the same 12 to 20 people are going to be coming in and out of that class, right? So if you have a gym of 150 people, you don't necessarily have to worry about knowing everybody's specific goals. And not everybody has a specific goal too, right? There's some people who just want to come in, enjoy the workout, get fitter. They care about, I just need to complete this in this time, or I need to do, X amount of rounds and reps. And like, those are the easy clients, right? Those are the ones that, they'll pretty much check a lot of the boxes for themselves, right? Avatar briefs really come into play when we have those outliers who we want to make sure that they understand, like, this is the place for you to achieve your goals.
When things moved online, we saw that this was actually the thing that clients paid most attention to, less so than the workout, more here's why this is important for you today. Do you find that some gyms are using Beyond RX that way still? Like, are they texting the client before the class and saying, hey, you should make it today, here's why?
I think I would hope that they would, right? I think again, it comes down to really knowing your clients. And if you have a system in place where there is constant communication, you're checking in with them, whether it's just through, automated text messages, and they start replying to you, like, you should have those conversations, right? A lot of times, especially for us, within the first 90 days of somebody's journey, we try to be very specific about the workouts that we recommend somebody coming to. Right. So we do a good amount of not necessarily hand holding, but just guiding, right? Saying, hey, this is like, if this is your goal, this is what you should be, like, these are the workouts you should be trying to bias your training towards, right? Obviously, just being general functional fitness. If I have a client who wants to get in shape or needs to lose weight, I'm not going to say like, hey, come to only these classes that are more built for, they're going to be longer workouts, more cardio focused. I'm still going to say like, hey, let's maybe get 2 of these in, and let's also go to the opposite end of the spectrum and get one that's going to be a little bit heavier, because we need you lifting those heavy weights, because that is important, right? So we can build more lean muscle, which in turn will help us burn more fat just at rest, right? But we can still bias your training towards those longer workouts, which will give you that bigger calorie burn.
And so, do you tell the client in advance, like, here's what's coming up this week, and so here are the days when you should plan to be here?
Yeah, so we release all of our workouts on Sundays at 5 p.m. So that you can go in, you can say, if you wanted to cherry pick and be like, these are my favorite, like, awesome. I don't have a problem with that. Like, if this makes you happy and like, these are the workouts that you love and you're going to have a fantastic time in the gym every time you come in, cherry pick the hell out of the workouts. Like, that'll be great. Right. But we do it with the intent of, hey, these, like, if you want to achieve this goal, these are the workouts that you really should be trying to get in here for.
How predictable is that schedule? I mean, is there like a longer workout every Thursday, for example, that people who are looking for fat loss should try to make, or do you communicate that individually to them depending on the week?
We try and communicate that to them individually, depending on the week. So we do have tags, right, for our workouts. We're like, hey, this is more of a general fitness workout. This is more workout that's going to help you increase strength. This is going to be more of a conditioning based workout. I think as time goes on and people get more familiar with the style of training that we do in the gym, they can kind of, look at the workout itself and be like, okay, like, this is the one that, I know best fits my goals at the moment.
Okay, man. I really think that's brilliant. Now, obviously, this takes a lot or a little bit more time for the coach, right? Like, to implement a system like this, how much more time is a coach or the GM or the CSM spending per week?
It's definitely time consuming, right? But I think that, we've really simplified the process over the past couple of years, because we can look at these avatar briefs and we could come up with a million different kind of like generalized briefs, but really there's almost 9 that we use as a baseline, right? So if we look at, okay, the type of client, the avatar that we have for clients, as far as, conditioning or weight loss, general fitness, or increased strength, we can almost say that there's 3 corresponding workouts, right? Where you have workouts, again, that are better fitted for increasing strength, workouts that are better fitted for general, like would be a general fitness, and then more that are going to be on that conditioning bias, right? So what we've created is essentially a grid with 9 squares. Like, hey, if you have a conditioning workout and you're talking to a weight loss avatar, this is how you do it. And you can go down the line and say, if you have a conditioning workout, you're talking to a general fitness avatar, this is how you talk to them. If you have a conditioning workout, a client who wants to increase strength, this is how you talk to them about it. So for us, we've narrowed it down to basically 9 generalized avatar briefs that your coaches can become very familiar with, and hopefully just be able to kind of regurgitate them just as time goes on and they become more familiar with them. But then the next layer, again, is not just using those generalized briefs. It's, okay, I know these so well that my focus can go back into that relationship with the client and knowing exactly what their specific goals are, and then taking this a step further and relating those generalized briefs to that client's specific goals.
I think the coaches who are listening to this and the gym owners who are, really concerned about like virtuosity and quality in coaching and value in their coaching practice, they're going to jump on this and say, yeah, this is super duper important. For pragmatic skeptics like me, how does this translate into better results for our business?
Yeah, so I think what it does, it creates trust, and it shows the athletes that you really care, because it creates a better connection with them. I think we've all had clients who come in and they're like, why am I doing this? Or like, I didn't get, like, I don't feel like I got a workout in, right? I think this especially happens with the newer athletes, where we might have something that's a little bit shorter or a little bit heavier, and they're not exactly sure how to go heavy, or like they just don't have the capacity to really put in like 80-90% effort, like in a short workout. So if we can talk to them about their goals and start relating the workouts to them a little bit more, and be like, this is how you should execute it to your goals, it's going to equate to longer retention and better results for your clients, which is going to in turn move your business forward.
Yeah, that's really, what I love about Beyond RX programming is it improves adherence, because as soon as you tell somebody, here's why this workout is important for your goals today, they are more likely to show up. And when you increase adherence, then you increase retention. And it's really easy to track the numbers from one thing to the next. So, as far as like improving retention, we all know that novelty can help, and that's what most programming sells. But when you compound that with like specific, here is why this is relevant to you, the compounding effect provides greater retention than any programming that I've ever seen anywhere else ever. So, congrats on that, Brooks. What's going on with Beyond RX now? Like, give us some news.
So obviously we're continuing to do our monthly programming for our gyms. One of the things that we've done recently is we've begun to essentially give every workout a name, not just necessarily for the fun of giving every workout a name. One, we want these workouts to be more relatable to clients. We want them to just recognize a workout that they've done in the past because they see the actual name of the workout. We're doing this for mostly, again, going back to that retention piece, right? And because we want to give clients more bright spots, right? When we think about the amount of workouts that we have in CrossFit, it's almost infinite at this point, right? And when we start talking about, benchmarks and testing pieces, how often do they really come up? And again, for clients who are just here for general fitness and want to get fitter, testing a workout, once a year, or, maybe even twice a year, that, that's fine. But like, we wanted to give our clients more opportunities to see actual progress on a weekly basis. So one of the things we did was we just condensed our workouts down to about 200. right? With the idea being that if you have a client who's there for, more than 7, 8 months, they're going to have the opportunities to really start coming in and seeing additional progress every single week rather than having to wait on these benchmarks that come around every year, twice a year, whatever it might be.
I think that's really important. I mean, one of the things that really attracted me to CrossFit back in the day was these named workouts, but you see them less and less in programming now, right?
You do see them less and less, and I'm not sure, it's funny, the named workouts. I don't know Greg's like an initial intent with naming the workouts, whether like he just, enjoyed it, he wanted to honor somebody, and a lot of them did become those benchmarks, but when I look at, benchmarks, a lot of them are just kind of arbitrary benchmarks. Like we just decided that these were benchmarks for whatever reason. I think there's also a lot of power in like also naming every workout, not treating it like a benchmark, but we have clients who might come in and say like, man, I love that workout. Right. And that workout might become like their personal benchmark workout, right? It might become the workout that they measure themselves by rather than us. Cause all right. So like, let's take Diane, right. As a benchmark, right? We're saying handstand push-ups and deadlifts, right? How many of your clients can do handstand push-ups well, right? And how many of your clients feel good about themselves when they like really leave the gym from trying to do handstand push-ups, right? For like, hey, this is how you should measure yourself, and you keep failing at it over. Of course, you're going to see progress, but if you're just there to achieve a specific goal and get a little bit healthier, you don't really care about doing handstand push-ups. And every time you come in, you're like, hey, this is how we're measuring yourself. And like, you're like, I hate these and I suck at them. Like, why am I here? Right. But if you just say to somebody like, hey, this is a named workout, and like, man, I love this workout. It's like, well, that's your personal benchmark then. Measure your progress by that. Now, of course, we still want people to increase their capacity, right? Across various domains. We want them to get stronger. We want them to, be able to row a 5K faster. Those are all important things, right? But some of them we can allow them to make these determinations of like what workout is important to them on their own.
That's great, man. I mean, there was definitely a dark side to those early named workouts. I remember not Greg Glassman, but one of his very first CrossFit clients telling me about having anxiety attacks when they saw Fran come up on the board, because at the time, not only were they like the Fran champion of Greg Glassman's gym, but they were also on CrossFit.com as having like the world's fastest Fran, And so when it came up, this guy would like have a nervous breakdown about it.
Right. And, if we limit it to these, these workouts, like Fran, like how much faster can somebody really get at Fran if they've been doing CrossFit for, or just functional fitness for 4, 5 years, right? There's probably going to be a point where it's like I'm maxed out. Like I can't go any faster, and that's fine. Right. But I've been doing this for 13, 14 years now. It's like, but I can also I can look at these other workouts and be like, man, I do really enjoy this workout. So maybe for the next 3 to 4 years, will be one of the workouts that I measure myself against.
Got it. Yeah. It is also discouraging when you see your number in one workout go down, right? Especially if you used to be the gym champion at Murph and suddenly your Murph's getting slower. Um, so let's put Beyond RX on a spectrum here of programming, right? So at one end, you've got like one-on-one personal training, custom programming for every single client. And at the other end, you've got big group classes that almost look like choreography, where everybody's doing the exact same movement at the exact same time. There's one coach leading 30 people. Where does Beyond RX fall on that spectrum?
We are right in the middle of that spectrum, right? So yes, it'll be great for group class coaching. It'll keep you very organized. It'll keep you on a timeline. It'll give your coaches all the resources they need to provide a great group class experience. I would say that it's definitely not built for gyms who have, that 30-person plus class, because again, we go into like really creating that personalized experience, right? And wanting to connect with the client. Like good luck trying to connect with a client, as far as like their goals or with the avatar briefs, and also trying to to coach them in that, right? We look at our class and say, like, okay, in the past we said we want to have a touch point with everybody, right? And again, that touch point might have been, just something with technique, right? Let's make sure that we give somebody to focus on for this class. We transitioned to say, okay, we want to make sure everybody has two basically categories of touch points, right? We want them to have that technique piece that they're working on. We also want to make sure that everybody has that touch point of like, hey, do you understand how you should be executing this workout?
Got
right?
it.
Now you can take the same exact programming and you can move it all the way over to the personal training spectrum, right? Because we have these avatar briefs built out for you, so you can look at the same group class workout and really go into customizing it and explaining to your personal training client why it is important that they be doing this.
That is really interesting. And one skill that I know that Mike Watson, who writes some of the avatar briefs,
Yep.
one skill that he and I developed way back, 2005 when we opened Catalyst. Sometimes you would have 10 clients in a day and you're working one-on-one with each one. And sometimes you'd be using the same workout for 5 of those clients, but you'd be describing it in a different way each time. Like, here's why you're doing this workout. Here's how it's going to help you. And I didn't think of it until you said it, but like you could easily translate Beyond RX programming into one-on-one.
You easily can, and I think that, a lot of gyms too, it's like we don't look at our group class programming as what we should be doing for our personal training clients. But again, if we're talking about, providing the best service and value possible, not only for our clients, but for our coaches so that they can maximize, their effective hourly rate, right? Then using the group class programming is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like somebody who's coming in and doing personal training at your gym, you don't need to write a separate workout from the group class workout. Like they're not there because some of them might not want to be in a group, right? But they're there because they probably don't want to be in a group, right? They don't care what the workout is. You could still run the same. We have so in our gym, we have people who will do the group class programming who are personal training clients and still post their scores into the group class track, right? They feel like more part of the community, but for whatever reason, classes just don't fit their schedule, right? Or they're uncomfortable in a group or whatever it might be, or they have more limitations that we have to take into consideration when training.
Yeah, that's really interesting to note. And I think a lot of people who are trying to add personal training, that's one barrier that they don't understand. And so, they think that they have to make the PT program significantly different. That does happen 10% of the time, but for 90% of people, you can use the same program. The key is just customizing the message about why they're doing it, which is what Beyond RX does.
It is what we do, right? And I think there's layers to that personalization of one-on-one training, right? Where somebody comes in, it's like, okay, at a basic, what are you paying for? You're paying for that one-on-one coaching and time, right? Now, if we start to talk about, hey, I'm going to write a customized program for somebody, like it's not something you're doing within the hour of the personal training session. Like that might be something that you're doing that takes hours outside of it, right? So that should be a completely different price point than just your personal training.
All right, Brooks, super helpful as always, man. Thank you. Where can people find out more about Beyond RX?
So you can go to beyondrx.com. You can sign up for a 30-day free trial for either our tier 1 or our tier 2 levels of programming. Our tier 1 level of programming is built for gyms who have a smaller staff and under 50 members. The tier 2 is going to be for a bigger staff. You need to streamline communications processes for and have an actual built out session plan. You can sign up for, again, 30-day free trials for both. If you're part of Two Brain, right? You can access tier 1 for free. You could also go to our Instagram, Beyond RX, and our YouTube channel as well. We do daily videos on YouTube and we do a weekly live stream every Friday. And the YouTube channel is just Beyond RX.
That's
RXD.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Beyond RXD. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I really do think this is the next and most necessary evolution in programming for micro gyms, Brooks, and you're spearheading that, man. Thank you. And we'll see you at
Chris.
Two Brain Summit.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.